And today's Voices of Privacy. Denmark recently became the first country to recognize personal identity as intellectual property that gives individuals the power to have their faces and voices under copyright law. To discuss the benefits of such a law, we are joined by Professor Donna Werdelich with Virginia Tech's Pamplin College of Business. Good afternoon, Donna. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Kimberly, always.
Oh, my goodness. And we talk about AI and just the concerns that seem to pop up every single day. But what's so crazy to many of us is that we don't actually own our faces and voices. You would think at the very least we had our own, likeness, but we really don't. Talk a bit about that. It's almost like the Wild West out there.
It's mind-blowing because I think and you look back on laws and when they were set and started and all of that, and the influx of technology and how much changes and how so quickly. So the thought of us having to have the ability to trademark our face, that someone would actually take our face, is like from a movie, right?
Right.
We're not thinking this could ever happen, but it is building and building into the point where Denmark finally got all buy-in, and by the end of 2025, you will have the rights to your face, to your image, to your voice, and to your likeness. And so that is going to be really critical. And most people are like, I don't. And there have been so many tragedies that have occurred with Deepfakes. So that is where the genesis of all this comes from.
Absolutely. So it's starting in Denmark, it'll eventually spread to the rest of the European Union.
Correct.
And how soon is this going to be happening?
So Denmark is the end of this year, so they'll have it in place.
Okay.
And then the rest of the EU, I think they're trying to push it out a lot in 26, if not in 27. And hopefully by 27, hopefully earlier, it'll also be something for the U.S.
Yeah.
There's already states that have enacted bills and looking at things.
That are pending now.
Yes. There's like 40 states, 20 bills that are looking at it,
Yeah, because it costs a lot of money. Of course, there's scams, people's reputations that have been destroyed by these videos. They're called deepfakes. For people that aren't familiar with that term, what exactly are those?
Right. So deepfake is maybe even taking a video of you and I, and then manipulating it to have us have a different conversation while on air. Or in a logical sense, taking a child's voice and taking a child's image. So with all the toys and the facial recognition, children are out there all the time, right? And now using that child's identity towards a grandparent and saying we need money, we need
the grandparent scams that we hear about.
Yes, so they add into those. But personally, when we've looked at this in terms of AI and the impact, there's a couple of great public service announcements as well. But it's going to cost about $40 billion by 2027.
Oh my goodness.
The impact to lives, and as well in terms of just your overall identity, your reputation, and the fact that U.S. right now, nothing can be done.
And that's so scary because, again, this law is likely coming, but things take time. We're just looking at the sample video there, the comparisons of the AI versus the real person.
Right.
And sometimes you really can't tell. And then when you start, adjusting people's voices, and it really does leave us vulnerable. And then you have the whole trust issue.
Yes.
Can I believe what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Not always.
Right. And I mean, even I think it was last year or whatever, there's a couple of celebrities that all of a sudden were deep fake and it wasn't them. And then they had Tom Cruise and they had other ones to show the difference. But technology, it's a learning machine, right? It continues to learn off of everything that we input into it, and it gets stronger and more powerful, right? So what we knew last year we're miles
it's
so far.
Obsolete almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like on a daily basis to see how they're using it. And there's efficiencies too with certain things, but with deep fake, it is built to really destroy someone.
Yeah, and that's so awful, this technology that's abused this way. What are the best things that we can do to protect ourselves?
Well, I'll tell you this. So when this law is enacted for any consumer in Denmark, right, they will have rights to their face, their voice, their image, their likeliness, right? They don't have to sign up for anything.
Right.
So I think as consumers, we need to, once again, think about our privacy, our tracking, what we do, what we put out there about ourselves, because the world is seeing it. Anything can be found on AI.
That's right.
If you Google if you AI yourself and say, tell me everything about Kimberly or Donna or whatever, it's frightening, the line listing that they pull from everything. And even regular consumers that are not on news, etc. So the aspect is to really consider this, especially with children. A lot of parents put a smiley face or something. They're not putting children online anymore because the dangers of that are really, and it's hard because you're on Facebook and you want to share a picture of your child in Halloween.
But you have to think of protecting them and being vigilant.
Yeah. You have to really, really stop first. And then yourself as well. When someone says, do you want to scan your face? right? Some of these platforms like Snapchat is huge. When they scan your face, that's your biometrics. You're then giving it to the system where they can replicate it. So I think there's new guidelines coming out all the time. Voices of Privacy obviously really hits upon this with tools, but it is for the consumer to be an involved consumer these days.
That's right, and to be aware and vigilant. All right, Donna, as always, thank you so much for coming in. It's great information, really important. You can find out more on voicesofprivacy.com.